For those that I don't know, which is most people in the room, my name's Callum. There's one person I recognise from many years ago. I have known Gill for, well, I need 4 hands to count the years I've known Gill, and then only just do we actually make it. Why am I here? Well, firstly, why are we all here? It's a real honour to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for making me get up at 3:30 this morning and take a flight at 6:15. Thank you. We'll try that, yeah? But I'm here. And it's an honour to be here. I think it's an honour for all of us. In some ways, I wish we weren't here, because I wish the topic that we're about to discuss wasn't a topic, wasn't an issue, but it is. The issue of the book and what we're going to hear Gill talk about, what you're going to read, what I've been very lucky to read already, is a real issue, and it's why we're here today. So thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being here to support Gill. Thank you for listening to me for about the next 3 minutes and 20 seconds, according to the brief I got for how long I need to speak. But that's what I'm going to do. So probably you want to know, because I don't know most of you here, I don't live in Geneva, how do I know Gill? From Procter & Gamble. But it's a little bit more than that. I work in airlines. I've worked in airlines since I left P&G. In fact, I worked in airlines before I worked in P&G. And I was really lucky because I work in the brand side and customer side of airlines. I'm not going to tell you which one because I've probably ruined your holiday, I probably lost your bag, and yes, I do go into work every day with the aim of messing up someone's life. Apparently that's my job, but I promise that is not the case. But yeah, I started my career 26 years ago in airlines. And I had a very strong role model. Her name was Barbara Casali. She started the very first low-cost airline apart from EasyJet, which was called Go. And then I left Go. Well, actually, I didn't leave Go. I carried on flying as cabin crew for weekends, and then I joined this big FMCG multinational called FMCG, where my marketing director was Gill. So from the very beginning of my career, my 2 role models, both in the airline side of my life and my marketing brand side of life, have been women. So I blame you for me not realising there was an issue, because from the very beginning, for me, that was life. And the book, which I'll say a few words about, which Gill will say much more about, it's hard-hitting. I think that's probably the word I could use. To use Gill's terms, I think 2 weeks ago, I certainly would have put myself more on the feminist side of things. I'm clearly not, thanks for shaming me. I thought I was okay. I have 50% direct reports women, the level below them is 62% female, and my whole team is 68% female. So I thought, yay, I'm doing well. And then I got on my flight this morning, my first flight. I had to fly twice in case I didn't tell you, at 6:15 in the morning. So I did my first flight from Barcelona to Paris, and fine, got on my next flight, and the flight was from Paris to Geneva. And I said to myself, and I'm really ashamed to admit this, but I did say to myself, oh my goodness, I've just had 2 women captains. The fact that I even noticed that shows that I should be ashamed of myself. And I was reading the book for the second time this morning, slapping myself on the side of the head with my phone, realising, because it is an issue, however much we think we support it, however much we think that we're doing it right, it's clear that even those of us that are arrogantly and blindly thinking we're doing it right are not doing it right. So, first thing I'm going to say is, thank you for shaming me, but thank you for teaching me, because that's one of the main things that I got from this book. So, I'm personally enough to admit that that's been the case. So, a little bit about Gill. Youngest of 3 sisters, born in Liverpool. This little Irish boy can understand. Her accent was a lot more similar to mine, although my accent has changed over the years. A really inspiring story, and I think a large part of the reason that she was my role model, not only in the professional sense. Gill went local comprehensive to Cambridge, just like me, but that's when and did modern languages, modern and medieval languages, just like me. So I had a lot of kinship, but that's pretty much where the story ends. Gill had Jo in her second year of university. I could barely get up to go to lectures. How anyone can have a child in the second year of university and graduate from MML. I mean, from that first moment, it's just, well, impressive as well. I honestly don't know. But it's true, and it's just one of the many achievements, but one of the most important achievements in her life. 26 years, I think, in P&G. I lasted 3. I loved it, don't get me wrong. I didn't fit, but I was celebrated for not fitting. Gill was one of the people that tried to convince me to stay and said the fact that you're not like other people is a good thing. And Gill was the same. I mean, she's not like other people. But only back then did I realise it was okay for me not to fit. There's a few things about me biologically that make it, I realise now why. And it's only with this power of hindsight and when you're confronted with some real compelling truth and words and facts and in Gill's, as I said, very direct tone of voice that comes through even from the page, that you realise that that's the case. But Gill worked 26 years, I think it was. When I joined, she was my marketing director. There was a brand manager between us, and then my brand manager got moved. I remember joining P&G and being told I was going to work on beauty care, and I got all excited. And then they told me I was Head & Shoulders, and I went, oh. But I loved it, still the best brand I've ever worked on, and I worked at Virgin, so that's saying something. But I was really lucky because my brand manager got moved on to another brand, and I actually got to work for Gill for 6 months before they moved me to Crisps, which is where I gained the 20 kilos difference between then and 20 years ago. But it was a wonderful time, and Gill was a large part of that. She went then on to lead, massive global brands, Olay, Pantene, Head & Shoulders, through the ranks of general manager, vice president, till she decided to leave. And I'm not going to tell her story, I'll allow her to tell her story. But a couple of words that come through, I think I said direct, I think I made that clear. I think I made hard-hitting clear. Impressive, definitely. Role model for me, and I think for many people. I think that's true. And passionate. And I'm using the word passionate because those that when you read the book will know she was told she was too passionate at one point. That's not the case. For me, there's no such thing as too much passion. And that came through, and that was infectious and catching, and it's something that I've really held on to. And certain things of Gill's leadership I've really held on to, even now when I go in and ruin your lives every day because I work for an airline that delays flights. But I take that insight, I take that leadership style, and then I take more because this book, as I said, I read it the first time last weekend. I cleared a weekend. I thought I'm going to do this properly. I didn't want to read it when I was rushed in a weekday evening, so I cleared the weekend. And at some points, as I said, I was almost punishing myself, but punishing myself in a good way. When you get to the end of the book, it's like one of those documentaries or one of those comedies where you don't think you're supposed to laugh, but you laugh. There's no laughing in this, but it confronts you with some truths and makes you realise exactly what the situation is and exactly what the situation that I've been seeing it from and how wrong I was. I mean, Gill talks about things that really resonated, like fit. We all talk about hiring for fit. I never even thought until I read it in black and white that fit was the opposite of diversity. And for that, I'm sorry. I am, because I've realised, hearing these accounts and hearing what's in there, and then the last section of the book is pretty much, I think you call it a to-do list. It's a to-do list. I mean, there's a to-do list, if I remember right, there's a to-do list for managers, there's a to-do list for organisations, there's a to-do list for women, and there's a to-do list for men. So thank you for making it easy, because at the end I literally will be going through ticking off, because as I said, it's those subtle things that come out that impress me most about the book, the things that I realised I was missing. I thought I was helping, but there was so much more I can do. I can help coach other men in my position to look at gender equality and diversity in a different way. And diversity is a bigger issue. Gill mentions this in the book as well. Diversity is more than just gender, but gender really has to be the place to start, because I think it's like, if it starts this happening, it can then really lead to good things. And as I said, the fact that we're still talking about this today shows how important this book is, shows how important these works are, and these thinking, and these brilliant people like Gill who can come along and really hit you in the face with something that makes you feel a little bit bad about yourself. At the end of the day, it really makes you learn. So I'm not going to say much more. I'm just going to refer to something I read. Actually, I read it on Denzel Washington's Twitter because he retweeted it, so I can't pretend I'm that academic and high and worthy. But there was a US civil rights activist called Erica Williams Simon that said, never attach yourself to a place, to a person, or to a company. Attach yourself to a mission. And I think for me, when I read that, that sums up what Gill's done. She's a practice of the mission that means a lot, that is truly important, that can really change how we think. And I can only encourage you, for those that you haven't read it, this book will change the way you think. Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman. As hard-hitting as the quotes have said this book is, it probably underestimates. It was brilliant, and I say thank you. And those that know me know I don't lie, so I'm not here to make it. I'm here to take the piss as much as I am to praise, but that's why you asked me to do it, I guess. But I want to say thank you. I want to say congratulations. Thank you from me, congratulations from me, and I think I speak for everyone here when I say thank you and congratulations. It is a brilliant piece of work. You are a brilliant person, and I wish you the best of luck with this, and I hope you slap another few people metaphorically around the face. So thank you for the nice work.
People ask me, why did you write this book? Why are you doing this? And the simple answer is, I kind of had to, actually, I had to. I was at vice president level when I personally started to really see the gender equality and diversity issue. And I became absolutely fascinated by it, obsessed. I watched, I listened, I read as many books and articles as I could, I made notes. And this made me realise that women everywhere, not just me, not just the women around me, but women everywhere were struggling with these dynamics. You know, that wherever you look, men were winning at work, and women were usually, ultimately, losing. So I made a promise to myself at that point, and I said, I'm going to write a book about this. When I leave here, I'm going to write a book about this. Because I could see what was happening, and I could see it needed to change. And I promised myself, I'm going to try to do something to contribute to that. There are lots of messages in this book. Cal's pulled some of them out. But I want to just talk now about 3 key ones for tonight. The first, and maybe the most important, it is time, please, for us to stop being positive, patient, and polite about gender equality. We really need a sense of urgency on this now. You know, so many books have been written, so many articles have been written, and they all share stacks of unequivocal data that show that A, this is a big issue, and B, that gender equality drives stronger teams, stronger businesses, stronger performance, stronger societies. Go into LinkedIn any day. I challenge you to be in there more than 1 minute before you see a piece of data or a new report that shows you that. And yet still, despite all the data, despite all the books, despite all the articles, still here we are. People always talk about progress driving bonkers. Because frankly, when you look at it, the progress is pretty pathetic, actually. You know, we see a few female CEOs, or maybe a few prime ministers, maybe handling COVID quite well. And we think, well, there you go, we've got gender equality, it's job done. Well, it's not. It is not. Wherever you look, whether business, sport, politics, healthcare, wherever, just look at the top levels and you'll see 90% plus men in the leadership positions. Where did all those smart, talented women go? Where did they go? Why do we accept that they're not there? Why do we accept that they're not represented equally at the top, that they're not represented equally at the table, and the negative consequences of them not being there? We really need to stop now just sitting here, standing here, letting it happen. I think we need to stop talking about it, stop writing about it, and start actually acting upon it. The biggest thing I'd say is I really don't want somebody in 100 years' time to be writing a book called Why Do Men Still Win at Work? Second message, an important one. This book is for men as much as for women. I'm looking at you. I know that many, I'm going to say most, books on gender inequality do alienate men. Even as a woman reading them, I can feel that. But I promise you, men, that you will feel fully included when you read this book. And that's because it recognises that men who are predators, misogynists, deliberately sexist, consciously sexist, are the absolute small minority. And that most men are decent, well-intentioned, and really in no way wish to contribute to gender inequality. The men who have already read this book, some of them reluctantly, mentioning no names, have told me that it has engaged them. It's helped them understand that they do, albeit inadvertently, contribute to the issue, and that they have an absolutely critical, perhaps the most critical role of all, to play in its solution. Third key message. This isn't charity, it's business. Gender equality is not a charity. Women are not a charity. Please, we need to stop thinking and talking about women as a species to be protected, and gender equality as a nice to do side dish. One of the key issues really is that people don't truly understand or truly believe that gender equality and diversity is good for business. It does drive better results. It drives performance. It's not just good for women. It's good for men too. It's good for absolutely everyone. We need to stop seeing it as a side dish, start treating it as the main meal. So my key message to all of you, men and all of you, don't do this for women. Do it for you. Now I could talk about the book all night, but nobody wants that. So I'm doing a sneak preview of the chapter headings, because I like them. Yes, it is an issue, in case anyone is in denial that gender equality is something we have today, and believe me, some people do believe this. Do you have feminist phobia? Because this is like the F word for some people. Feminism has a lot of unnecessary baggage that doesn't help the cause at all. A few bad men. But this chapter is really about and for the many good, decent, well-intentioned men who, despite this, do unintentionally do things that hold women back. Maybe men are just better. Because some people secretly do believe this. And some women, by the way, although most of them wouldn't dare say it out loud, especially not to me. The invisible power of culture and other forces, the science bit, the confidence versus competence equation, and giving good meeting. This is where we really start to delve into the underlying, unwitting and unconscious things that cause and perpetuate gender inequality. The umbrella theory. This is about men understanding so much better than women that meritocracy is, I hate to break it to you ladies, a myth, and that doing a good job is not enough. But also it gets into the important reasons why women don't invest as much in marketing and networking as men do, because there are some very important reasons for that. The women who win at work. This is about the super 7% women who do make it, because some do. It's not zero female CEOs. There are some. And it's about what makes these women so special. Sisters are not doing it for themselves. I think this chapter heading speaks for itself. Let's just say that we women have some work to do that only we can do. And finally, so what the hell are we going to do about it? The book ends with a to-do list for us all, based on all of this, on how to make inequality history. The Sunday Times called it an almighty set of recommendations, so I hope you're ready for that, because we've got a lot of work to do. So those are, say, the key messages. There are many messages in there, and I hope they're not too direct, but actually, I'm fine if they are. I was going to just do a very little reading, just to give you a feel, which means I'm going to have to manipulate book and microphone at the same time, so let's see how that goes. I couldn't have written this book 7 years ago. I wouldn't have even thought about writing it then. In fact, if someone had told me they were writing a book called Why Men Win at Work, I would have had no interest in it at all. If I'd ever thought about it, I would have disagreed with the premise and maybe, probably, have got into an argument about it. As the father of 3 girls, perhaps my poor dad had no choice but to believe in supporting girls and women, because he was surrounded by us. To his huge credit, he embraced feminism, and from as early as I can remember, he never made us feel like we should do anything else but use our brains and work hard at school, get into a good university, and get a good job that exercised our minds. Sadly, I did have girlfriends at school whose fathers didn't see girls the same way, and parked all their paternal academic and career ambition with their sons. Not my dad, though. It also helped that I went to mixed schools where, thanks to a combination of hard work, sufficient intelligence, and being famously well organised, I was usually top of the class or close to it. It never really occurred to me to question whether I was as good as or equal to a man. Nor did my time at the University of Cambridge give me any cause to ask gender inequality questions. I was a pretty average student there overall, but was privileged to come across some truly brilliant minds, which came in both the male and female form. Then it was on to a career at a big international company, where for the first 18 years, I would have told you that while of course I was aware of gender diversity issues, I had personally never been on the wrong end of them. I had never felt in any way held back as a woman, and to be honest, I didn't understand why people made an issue of it. I'm rather ashamed to admit that I used to be one of those women who was rather arrogant and dismissive of women who talked about gender inequality, and believed the issue was that they were perhaps not strong enough. You should man up, or should I say, woman up. And then I saw it, and once I'd seen it, I saw it everywhere. Not the old school bottle tap in the photocopy room kind, although I know this does still happen, along with its sinister digital evolution of instant messenger stalking. No, what I became aware of was the invisible kind, the unconscious kind of gender discrimination that is so embedded in our psyches that even good men with good intentions participate in and contribute to. Men who would count themselves as unconditional believers inequality. The kind that is so unconscious and invisible that even women themselves sometimes don't see it happening, and even worse, contribute to it themselves. The kind that ultimately defeated me when so many other barriers along the way have not, and has defeated, is defeating, and will defeat many women in their careers if we continue to allow it. The kind that is the real underlying reason why women struggle to succeed and is so underrepresented at the top levels in business and society. And so now I've personally seen and understood it, I'm livid. And I need to talk about it and do something about it. Why are men still winning at work? Why do we accept that we are living in a man's world where over 90% of all leadership positions in society and business are held by men and no progress is being made? We've seen that even a global pandemic couldn't shift us on gender equality. When I began writing this book a year ago, it was clear we were stuck. And since then, we've even gone into reverse, thanks to COVID-19. Women have taken on even more of the burden of housework and childcare to the detriment of their careers and face a "not now, dear" response to any attempt at equality or diversity discussions, because this is not seen as a priority in a crisis. Yes, I am livid, and I've decided to talk about it, even though I know how unwelcome and resisted this subject can be, both by men and women. I'm talking about it because if we don't keep raising this issue and fighting it, the unconscious system will keep on running in its unconscious way, and we will still be here in the same place in 100 years. Brilliant women will still be under-leveraged and will not attain the positions in business and in society that should be theirs. We simply cannot let this happen. So that's a little feel for it. Nothing too scary in there, is there? Before I stop and let you guys have a drink and something to eat, just a couple of things. I do want to thank absolutely everybody who has helped with this book, and I'm counting people who, from the beginning of time, the women and the men who've supported gender equality and just had discussions and fought for it, and people who've helped with the book, and especially my ambassadors, who've been incredible, are been incredible, and I hope will continue to be incredible, because we need to get this out there, and we need to reach as many people as possible so that we can actually make a difference, because ultimately that's why this book exists. Please do, for those who are into it, please do post a photo or something tomorrow on LinkedIn or whatever you feel comfortable with, and mention me, hashtag Why Men Win at Work, and let's spread the word and let's make gender inequality history. Thank you all so much for being here.